Hi, I'm Will. I like toys, and I also like comics. This time we're going to talk about some of the comics I picked up in 2025. Most of them are things I dug out of, discount bins, but there are a few that are some newer ones, and so we'll talk about those too. Let's just see, I want to make sure I've got these in a good order for us to talk about them. So this first one, we'll talk about DC, and then the next one we'll talk about some Marvel and some other publishers. Uh, these, like I said, most of these are ones I got out of clearance bins, dollar bins, picked up in random places. And then there's only three that are new, and we'll do those in the next one. So, on a trip to Memphis, Tennessee, where my grandmother and uncle and aunt and cousins live, I every time we visit, I stop in Comics and Collectibles. It is a great store. I've been going there since I was a little kid. I got that sweet Hellboy figure from there when I was probably like 13. But yeah, anytime I'm in town, they've always got some great clearance comics, something in the dollar bin, something in the $2 bin. I've even gotten some great used toys and new toys there. So the first thing that I got was I am a fan of Justice League Europe and Justice League International, and I'm a fan of pretty much all those characters: Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. He's abrasive, but sometimes you can see some heart in there. Metamorpho, Animal Man, Captain Atom, and of course Elongated Man. Elongated Man originally appeared in Flash. He's a character who one of the few characters who has been married most of the time that we've seen him. His name's Ralph, and his wife's name is Sue. They're very sort of down to earth, normal, a little odd and fun. He is a detective. I'd say on par with Batman's detective abilities, but he has stretchy powers that he gets from drink. He drinks out of some like weird plant. I think it's like called Gingold, Gingold, and that gives him his powers. He's most known because of Identity Crisis, which was a series where his wife was killed, and it was sort of the ultimate fridging of a character, kind of. But it's also a really well written story, and it was about sort of the fragility of superheroes' personal lives and their loved ones. And there were other people who lost loved ones in that. Won't spoil it, that happened in the very beginning. Highly recommend it. Really well written by Brad Meltzer, who's a great mystery and sort of thriller writer. But Elongated Man, other than appearing on the Justice League and in Identity Crisis and having a pretty good story in the 52 series, where he was trying to bring his wife back, he hasn't had a lot of standalones. However, there is a 4-issue miniseries where Elongated Man goes around Europe. Now, this will probably never be reprinted because it was written by Gerard Jones, who is since working on some of the later Justice League stories and some of the DC characters, has been convicted for some child pornography, which is awful. I will say that these stories have nothing to do with that. There are no hidden undertones. There's no extra stuff related to that or his Justice League Europe stories. But this is a great series during that Justice League Europe era where Ralph and his wife Sue go all around Europe and deal with different strange villains from different countries. Flash even makes an appearance. Yeah, so we get things like this. I can't remember who this character is. But yeah, basically these are sort of framed like they're postcards. Yeah, so you can see Copperhead and this guy. Oh, what is his name? It's like Calamari or something like that. And then this is a character who I think is named Escargot. So it's funny, it's weird, it's lighthearted. The artwork is very of its time, very much like that 90s sort of pop art. Wish we could see more Elongated Man and things. Unfortunately, the guy who also played Elongated Man in the live-action Flash TV series said some pretty despicable things and was written out and killed out of the show, which is a shame. Hopefully they can find someone good to play Elongated Man and bring him back. But I was very happy. In the dollar bin, I found all 4 issues. And now I finally own those. Next up, another great full set that I found in the clearance bin was Legionnaires 3. This is a mini-series about the founders of the Legion of Superheroes, a team of superheroes who are in the 30th century, who were inspired by the heroics of Superman and Superboy and all those like prime DC characters. So all of them sort of take their aliens from all around the galaxy and the universe, and they team up and use their kids who use their powers to fight against corrupt governments and fight against tyranny, and they're a really good message. And almost all of them, their powers that they have are inherent natural gifts of their species, but they decide to team up and use them together. And most of them, they have names that end in boy, girl, lad, or lass. Just sort of a nice nod to that classic superhero era. So I found all 4 of these, the Legionnaires 3 issues, once again, in the clearance bin. I was very excited to find these. So the main characters that are the original founders of the Legion are Lightning Lad, Cosmic Boy, and Saturn Girl. Lightning Lad has electricity powers, Cosmic Boy has magnetic powers, and Saturn Girl has like telekinesis, and I don't remember if she has telepathy, but they also can all fly because they have these special rings that they wear, the Legion flight rings. So every member of the Legion of Superheroes, which is like infinitely large, can fly. But so this is great. This is another one of those like 86. So wow, late 80s era DC, late 80s era DC, and early 90s. That's my favorite. So I was very happy to get that. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Justice League International and Justice League Europe, and I found this as well in that same clearance bin. It is Power of the Atom, issue number 9 from February 1989, and so what's cool about this is the Justice League International is in it, and you can see Guy Gardner, Martian Manhunter, and Batman. Guy Gardner is a perfect foil for other superheroes, and so I bought this mostly because I really like this cover, totally worth $1, but I'm definitely going to read it and enjoy some of the artwork in it. Like I said, Guy Gardner, definitely a foil. This is from his standalone series when he actually is no longer a member of the Green Lanterns, and you can see he's fighting some giant sort of bulky aliens. This is another one, unfortunately, written by Gerard Jones, but Green Lantern is using a yellow power ring in this, and I like these giant bulky guys who are fighting him, and he looks appropriately scared. One thing that people forget about Guy Gardner is the Guardians of the Universe, who are the people who hand out the Green Lantern rings, live on Oa, at the center of the universe. That's the story. And they have this giant power battery lantern, and they hand out the special rings to creatures all over the universe. They have divided the universe into sectors, and the Guardians are like immortal and have been around since the dawn of time. They think they're better than everybody. But so they hand out the rings, and in order to qualify, you have to have the ability to overcome fear and have a great grasp of willpower. What's interesting about Guy Gardner is, unlike some of the other Green Lanterns, like Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, Simon Baz, Jessica Cruz, who are all pretty good people, Guy Gardner shows that just because you have the ability to overcome fear and a good grasp on willpower doesn't mean you're a good person. There's plenty of bad people who are just stubborn and will not quit. And now Guy Gardner is popping up in the DC movie universe. He's in the new Superman movie played by Nathan Fillion. Wonderful casting. He's even got the bowl cut, as you can see from all these pictures. This is another one following a character that I'm a big fan of, Bizarro. I really, really like Bizarro. There have been so many different versions of Bizarro. Sometimes they're from another planet, sometimes they're clones, sometimes they're from other dimensions. But basically, if you're not familiar, Bizarro is a reverse Superman. So that's why Superman is backwards, that's why his logo is backwards, and that's why he tends to talk in really broken English. This one was written by Dan Jurgens, the guy who created Booster Gold, another favorite of mine. And like I said, this is from 1994. So Bizarro is a bad guy, but not because he has evil, but because he's not very smart and he's easily led astray, often by Lex Luthor and other villains. And like he says things like Superman am Bizarro's friend, meaning Superman is Bizarro's enemy. He has like cold vision and heat breath, and I mean he can fly and he's super strong. I have always thought that maybe his powers should be even more reversed from Superman, kind of like the Turtle versus the Flash. The Turtle is a character from Flash who can remove speed and friction, and like he's slow down time. So basically, he makes the Flash, who's super fast, super slow. But yeah, I love Bizarro, and I like Dan Jurgens, so I was very excited to see this. It says it's Bizarro's World #1, so I'm excited to read that. Next is Teen Titans Spotlight. That was written by Tony Isabella, who I think Tony Isabella just came out as trans. I'm gonna have to look up what their preferred name is at this point. But they created Black Lightning and are known for some really cool comics. But this follows two characters named Thunder and Lightning, who are siblings from Teen Titans. They even showed up in the Teen Titans cartoon from a couple of years, like a decade ago. Nope, more than that. Oh my god, I'm so old. But so I was excited to see this because there's some lesser known characters. Then, like I said, I'm a fan of Legion of Superheroes. It's kind of hard to jump in, but the Legion stories, Legion, are great because they're a little different. They're a little weirder. The cover art is great because it's done by Kevin Maguire, who did a bunch of the artwork for the Justice League International and Justice League Europe comics. But so these are a couple of issues of that. I really like the covers. Lobo is on the team for a bit. It's like instead of being the future like Legion of Superheroes, this is like in the normal DC timeline. So it's like 1991 and 1992. It's like a team of weird aliens who don't get along. They're entertaining, and they're led by Vrildox, who is a relative of Brainiac and an ancestor of Brainiac 5, who is a member of the Legion of Superheroes. So I was excited to find those. I have a couple in my collection, but I always try to get more. And then I also found this at an antique mall over near Roanoke, a great issue of Green Arrow. And I have no idea what this one is about, but I really liked this cover where they're coming at you. I'm definitely someone who I will buy a comic just solely based on the cover. Then this is a funny one. So this is issue 2. I think I do have issue 1 or 3 somewhere. This is a comedy sort of detective series called Angel and the Ape. And so you can see this woman right here with the white hair is Angel, and then this is her, the ape, and they're like detectives, and he's a literal gorilla. And there's a bunch of different other gorilla characters that appear in it, like Grodd, and I don't remember if Detective Chimp shows up, but it's like sort of a weird comedy detective series. But it has Dumb Bunny in it, who's one of the Inferior Five, which is a weird team with like, was it Jester Man, the Blimp? They're all like parodies of heroes, and so I was happy to find that in the clearance bin. And then the last thing that I have is something I found at Starling Comics, one of our local places. And when I say I found it, I mean my wife found it. She was looking in like the Golden Age, Silver Age bin, which I usually avoid because it's more than $1, and I try to stick to the cheap comics. But she found this really great issue of Tales of the Unexpected, The Secret of the Chameleon Man, and I Was a Prisoner of Death. And this is so cool. I'm a sucker for some of the weird, sort of more spooky, supernatural, and anthology comics. And so I was happy to add this, and you can see I paid $4 for it. So I got this on, I think it was Free Comic Book Day. I was there in Starling. I picked up a couple other, some free comics, like The Worst Bot Ever, and All In, and Gargoyles Demona, and Fantastic Four. So, the normal kind of things that I'm going to enjoy. But I was very happy to add this sort of older comic. I'm going to definitely put it with my Etrigan and Spectre and Phantom Stranger comics from that era. So those are the DC comics that I picked up. Next time we will take a look at Marvel and other publishers. It's a smaller stack, but it is definitely worth talking about. Till then, hope everyone's doing well, and like I said at the beginning, I'm Will, and I like toys and comics.